Hey. I'm Clifton Joseph, and this is the Eglinton West Pop-Up Podcast, the Old Heads Talking Basketball edition. I'm here as usual with my true, tried, and tested brother man, a legend here in Canadian basketball, my man, Michael Solomon. Michael, how are you, bro?
I'm doing well, man. Raptors lost a tough one tonight.
I hated this loss, man. This loss hurt. 121 to 120 at the buzzer by Snell with a three-pointer with a bullet pass from Trey Young, the point guard for the Atlanta Hawks, and a buzzer beater, 121 to 120. The Raptors have come back from this one where they stunk in the first and the fourth quarter, man. They stunk up the thing and they won the second quarters. The third, they came back at one point. Michael, they were down 19 and then became up in the third by 13, a 32-point swing.
That's when I got to the game. I got to the game in the middle of the second quarter. So I got to see the comeback. From the comeback on, they're looking kind of solid, you know?
Absolutely. Look here. Baines, Paul finished. Let me just rattle off some stats for you. Paul finished again with 33 points, 30 points, 3-4. Lowry nearly got a triple-double. He was 4 rebounds away from it, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 12 assists. Baines had a double-double, 11 points and 15 rebounds.
Yeah,
Stanley Johnson had a couple of crucial threes in a row in a way. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Bemby, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Boucher, 29 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Davis didn't do that well, 4, 3, and 1. Watson came in. I'm glad he got some burn, 3, 5, and 1. Lowry actually surpassed Bosh.
Yeah.
Second most points in a Raptor uniform. Right on. Excellent. I thought the coach did this thing, Michael. I thought this game was lost, as valiant as the Raptors were, and as much as the Coach Nick Nurse came back from his medical protocol, safety and protocol, and he coached, but I thought he came up short because I thought this game was lost by the coach. How can you be up after you've been down 19 and you're up 14 in the fourth and lose the game, Michael? That to me is a coach's error. What do you say?
Well, I saw the announcers were celebrating at there was 5 minutes left in the game. We were up. They were celebrating the victory. I was like, what? Even they're celebrating? Like it's too early. You know? Well, one good thing about adversity, our bench guys, they're coming on and they're playing like they're starters.
They started out stinking.
Yeah, but as the game went on, those boys coming back.
Absolutely.
They played with some real poise. They got some poise, you know, and that's the only shining point I could take from this game. Those guys getting that moment.
The bench reeked and stunk it up in the beginning, got outplayed. And in fact, the whole team got outplayed. At one point, the Hawks had so many behind the back passes and so on. They were just toying with us. I personally at home here was embarrassed, Michael, the way the Hawks, the Hawks were toying at us. So the bench came back from being stinking up in the first quarter and so on to in the third actually tying it at I think it was 31 or 33 at the time. But you didn't check my thing though, that I think that this is a failure of coaching at one point, because part of the problem in the first couple.
Yeah, but you know what? You got runs in the games, but that late in the game, like 5 minutes left in the game, you can't be taking quick shots. No, you gotta be more poised. They took some quick shots with 5 minutes left.
But then let me cut you because you
need to start nursing things.
I'm sorry. I'm not hearing you. No. I'm saying that a game like that, let's say if the coach was Popovich, at the Spurs. Popovich would take over the game.
Yes.
Phil Jackson would take over the game.
Mhm.
My man, Pat, what's his name in Miami, would take over the game. Van Gundy in New York's days would take over the game. You know what I mean? Veteran coaches will take over the game where you know that your players are most likely going to mess up.
That's what he needed to be doing with 5 minutes left, and he wasn't doing that because those guys were playing very loose and feeling comfortable with a 10-point lead at that time, right?
Yes.
You know, so it was that was dangerous territory, right?
Exactly.
I don't know what he could have done. He needed to do something to lift them up. They took too many quick shots. That's what happened down that stretch.
Yeah, because at one point, what it is that
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard. It seems to enforce for Night Nurse Nick, our coach, the Raptors coach, to enforce a team play, because there were a lot of hero balls happening for a long while there
Well,
before.
yeah, that's where you get when the bench guys are getting play and they're hitting their shots. You know, Stan Johnson hit some nice jumpers there, man. He was looking very comfortable. You know, so it's that's what you get with so many bench players on the floor. Hard to keep control.
Well, but you see, I like it though, because
So
as
they
I
got
say,
too excited with 5 minutes left in the game. They felt they had it in the bag. You can see it.
and what it is that I think that Nick Nurse should be using these games coming up to do what he did tonight. He went at least 10, 11 deep. I mean, that was partly based on circumstance too, right?
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is that, for instance, I think that a guy like Watson, who did 3 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist tonight, that if he gets over his shyness, because he was deferring all night, he took shots only when he got the note saying, "We kidnapped your family and you better take this shot." I'm telling you, that's the only time that brother shot. Every time he shot, I knew that they got to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, he shot 1 for 6. You know, I guess he's not a shooter. I don't know. 1 for 6. That's no confidence at all, man.
He's a 3-point shooter. That one was a 3, if I recall correctly. Right?
1 for 6. One was from 3. 1 of 4 for 3.
So what it is that he's a DNA.
He came on as a specialist and didn't do that specialist job.
Michael, I know you might not have been in that position, but when you're in a team, right, and then at some point, coach is going to call you, right? But coach hasn't called you throughout the entire season, right? Where you didn't get a chance to go in there at least do 3, 4 minutes, even in garbage time. And then now here you are at the playoffs, and he's in the doldrums, and he calls you. What, in your estimation, then, should a coach do with fringe players that you know you might need because of injuries, because of COVID, especially in this kind of dispensation, right? What should be the coach approach to players, especially, for instance, that dude who's woof 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 in the doghouse, Matt Thomas? What what do coaches do? What do Night Nurse Nick do to give our players? Watanabe came in and hit that 3 right off the bat, didn't he? Sonny Johnson hit like 3. Sonny Johnson looked like he made 15 threes tonight from the way I was going.
Yeah.
So what has coach got to do in terms of just like playing his players and getting a sense of them rather than just an academic sense of them from what happens in practice? After all, as Iverson said, you talking about practice?
Yeah, but in this sort of situation, it's not much they can get from what's going on. It's just like helter skelter, you know. You just hope the guys that are coming in, they're professionals. They're getting a paycheck. They're happy to be there. You know, that's the kind of situation you have now. Just guys showing up for a paycheck, and us hoping and holding on that somebody plays with, you know, with some extra something that gives us a lift.
So as I assume that we're out of the playoffs right now in terms of we're number 8.
I don't even, they don't even talk about playoffs right now. Playoffs is, everybody has playoffs in hand, you know? It's
Dig.
not time for that yet.
Because
Give it
there's only like 1 or 2, 3 games between number 5 and number 12 in the East, really.
Yeah, you're gonna have these crazy seesaws going, and just, if you're a gambling man, you just can leave it in there, leave it all in there till the end.
So okay, so we're copacetic on that in terms of Raptors, if they're able to put like the 3, 4 wins together in a way, then they could be right up at number 4 or 5, right? Which is where I believe that they'll end the season at. Tell you the truth, myself.
Yeah, but once they get their full complement back, Baines is getting some good practice right now. He played a hell of a game today.
Exactly.
And we still waiting to see what's going to happen before the trade deadline. Hopefully we can get that. Everybody's talking about the center. They're not talking about any other position for Toronto but a center.
Well, I think we can do without a center. I think we've got a player who can create, who you give them that ball and they can make a shot and make it work 1 or 2 times. I'll go with that too.
Yeah, well, I don't know who's out there. I heard JaVale McGee's name came up. I said, yes, I've been talking about JaVale for a while. Who knows,
But some people have been saying that JaVale McGee is just like an Aaron Baines replacement, kind of, right?
What JaVale McGee does is he really is a shot blocker. He makes you think twice before you put the ball up. So you're missing before you even shoot. You're missing.
Because you know what, Michael,
he's a specialist in the sense, and he does a good job at that.
You just highlighted something about Baines that I didn't realize, which I'll add to his negative positivity. That for a dude who's 7 feet, he's what, 7'1"?
Whatever, yeah.
He doesn't really present a threat as a shot blocker, or like a put your hands up like it's the Club Med commercial from back in the day. Hands up. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't play like a 7-footer.
I mean, he'll get blocked because of his height, yes, but he is not. Those aren't his instincts, I don't think he has the limbs for that. He's got pretty short arms. That's why he gets so many of his dunks blocked going 1 hand. You got to go 2 hands, man.
What about Kyle Lowry, who most people assume that he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, ex-Raptor Chris Bosh just got finalized into. He got nominated into the Hall of Fame. Well deservedly, I think. And ironically or presently, Lowry just eclipsed him in terms of the second most points scored. So Lowry definitely will probably be the first jersey retired, because Michael, the Raptors have never retired a jersey.
Well, that's a shame. I would have retired Vince's jersey.
But I think that some elements of the management, it seems to me, are still pissed at Vince, because otherwise, you're right. It should have happened like 5 years ago.
But when you never bring the pieces around a man to get the maximum out of his potential, how could you say that?
I thought we had pieces around him. I thought McGrady. I thought the coach mismanaged. Butch Carter didn't play McGrady as much as he should have. We had Willis. We had supporting players. We had Davis from Indiana. We had Oakley from New York Knicks. We had players around. We had Curry.
That was the best. That was the best we had it for a period of time. But I'm talking over the longer stretches. Not just when it's going good, but they just didn't keep up. They weren't about the winning attitude like they have now. They have more of a like, yeah, we're going to win now attitude,
And some of that was based on coaching. But mind you, at the time, they hadn't developed the overall philosophy of the team, where right now, for instance, management, coaching staff, players have a mindset. I must give some credit and credibility to our past assistant coach, Casey, who brought in that sense of drive defense, because by that time he wasn't really a defensive coach. That was all in his past, really. But he was able to help set down a template of dedication and teamwork. And I think that unheralded in this, in some ways, is Casey in what he was set up, even in the midst of his own limitations, that he couldn't take us to where we had to get to I had
Yeah,
to.
we stayed in the top five, right? We stayed in the top five for a long
Yes.
time. Yeah, that's some good growing pains we had there. That was the signs we were gonna win one, and we've done it. Now we got to try and do it again.
Wow. So, Michael, going on, we just got back. The Raptors are now, 17, 19, I believe, and
They were 17 or 20 now.
17, 20. So three below 500.
The 20th loss, yeah.
I'm not worried about that. But
That's,
here who we got next. Next we got Charlotte. Then Charlotte just won tonight too in their game. After that we have Chicago. That game we didn't play the other day. And then I believe after that we have the Jazz, and then Denver.
Oh my God, we got some big games, man. That's some big games right there.
Well,
All exciting games.
we get big with big games and we go small with small games. I always expect the Raptors to play the optimum against good teams.
I don't know who's coming back. Who's due back anytime soon? Anybody coming back soon? Any of those guys coming back?
Well, who knows
Like
how the
Siakam,
NBA does it?
The coach is back. Then you think like Siakam might be back soon too.
Well, you know what I mean? Because, for instance, I said, what is so special about Night Nurse Nick that if he was in the same bubble like the others, why do they have him back and not the rest of his the other 6 members of his coaching staff?
Well, there's
Or any of the players?
Leads for a lot of speculation. You know, we could do that. We can have a show on the speculation.
Michael, no, it's not speculation. I'm just going with the logics. Like,
no, I understand that. Well, it's true, but we can, you know, there's so much you can say about this and that. We don't know it.
Well, hey, like, I'd love to say all that you say I could say.
I don't got time for that.
So, Michael, the 25th of March is the trade deadline. It also happens to be Kyle Lowry's 35th birthday. There's been a lot of speculations about him, rumors that twice or 3 times in the last week, his agent first came out and said, no, Kyle has not said he wants to go to Philadelphia. Then Lowry himself comes out because rumors persisted about him going other places, and not only going to other places, but reported in the American media nationally that he has been telling people that he's out of Toronto. We've heard that before, Michael.
Oh, really?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, whatever. And he had to come out and say no. So is it like Shakespeare? And I know you're not a thespian necessarily. You're a thespian of the basketball court, but the thespian, an actor who would say, as Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage. And in a prescient phrase, the lady doth protest too much. Is Kyle Lowry's agent and himself protesting too much in the media, saying, oh, no, I'm not out of here, I'm not out of here, and then might be out of here?
But they got to play that game. But, you know, Lowry is such a powerful figure that I think the Raptors have to do him good. If he leaves, he's going to somebody with the potential of winning it. And if he leaves, that means they've thrown it in, right? They folded. They're not going for a championship. So as long as Kyle Lowry is still here, expect bigger things from the Raptors. And I don't think he's going anywhere right now.
Well, what did you make though, Michael? For me, I was a little bit perplexed, I must confess, though. That let me say that again. I was a bit, because there was a rhyme scheme in there, I was a little bit fascinated by. I was a little bit perplexed, Michael, by the way Lowry said things then, right? He said, I want to retire a Raptor,
yep,
even if it's a one-day deal. Meaning that he could go anywhere. And he also said another thing that, hey, going further in here, me, the Raptors, and any other teams have to make decisions based on their priorities.
Yeah.
Michael, those 2 statements don't sound too encouraging to me.
No, it's not very hopeful, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to survive parameters so that anything can happen. But I can say if he does go, he's going to be going to a team that has the potential to win. And if he does go, it means that we have we've turned our back on the season. That's what it means. And I don't think we're going to turn our back on the season. So Lowry's staying.
What do you make of Masai's? Because okay, we have Webster and everybody else, but let's say the brain thrust of the Raptors is really Masai Ujiri, really, bar none. From what you know of his psychology, he's brought up, see, him going out as a scout, working on speculations, you know what I mean, sleeping on people's couches and so on, and his time in Denver, then to Toronto and so on, how he was able to fleece the New York Knicks, fleece the Sacramento Kings. There are a couple of teams that he just like fleeces. You know what I mean? Just say, okay, Masai, can you call New York and Sacramento and see who we can get off of them for cheap, like usual? What, based on, you know, and he's cutthroat too. That I'm not sure that DeMar DeRozan is still talking to him, because when he cut DeMar was pissed. Kyle Lowry was pissed.
Of course. Yeah.
So we know that the brother is we know that Masai is a cutthroat guy. He smiles and so on.
You got some decisions, you have to make some tough decisions, man. You got to do that shit. Fortunate for him, it led to a championship, so you can't hold him.
So
Given
what's going on right now, for instance, given what's going on right now, a lot of the Raptors cognoscenti media folks have sort of anointed Kyle Lowry as being untouchable to some degree, like unmovable, like untradeable. Now, I say to you, man, here's a bombshell for you to predict. Does Masai has the cojones, the basketballs to trade Lowry before the trade deadline?
Wow.
And is that possible? And is that worthwhile positively to the fortunes of the Raptors going forward? And further to that, hold on, further to that, who do you trade him to in terms of the Heat, Philadelphia, his hometown, reunited with two ex-Raptors in the terms of the Clippers with Kawhi and Serge? Who? Dallas, maybe? Porzingis? They've been, somebody's saying that Porzingis is the new Bargnani, and that Dallas.
I would say the Clippers.
What do they got that we want, bro?
Not that they got what we want, just that if he goes to Philadelphia, the only way he's going to the East would be to Philadelphia, really. At this stage of his career.
But we would get more of a treasure trove from Philadelphia than we can ever get from.
What do you think Philadelphia's willing to give up at this point? You know, certain guys ain't going over. Yeah.
Now we're not going after the bigs. What that big center at the back? That guy. What's the list?
We lose Lowry, man. I tell you, we lose a lot.
Of course, but Michael, of course, he's in the line. We've signed him on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah.
He's on a 1-year deal.
I would say it might be better to do more with Kyle at the end of the season. I mean, he's one of those guys. That money, they have to eat that money with Kyle for now.
And that's $30 million, right? Plus.
Yeah.
So you say we go through this because Michael, I'm with you. For instance, I think that there are a number of trades that's possible to be made where you can just get somebody in, where we maybe let go some of our guys on the bench and a second rounder, you know, just to get a kind of JaVale McGee type person, Dwight Howard type person, a center who, dude, the Brooklyn Nets got Blake Griffin for $1.2 million.
Yeah, buyout. Yeah, he wants to be there, though. He wants to be there.
Dude, that should be, Michael. That should be illegal.
That's what happens, man. That's what happens. He's gonna get it afterwards. I know.
From 30 million 1 year to now 1 million.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think maybe might happen?
He had to leave some money on the table back there too when you get a buyout.
Yeah, I think he left 13 million.
Hey.
Whiteside. So if Whiteside gets to be like that, because there's Whiteside and there also is Drummond, right?
You know what? Whiteside to me he never give you that killer instinct thing that you need, you know? You need to have that killer instinct to have an impact. As a big man too, you can't be, you know, too.
But sometimes Michael, though, the job doesn't call for killing; it calls for a boozing.
He is much of a bruiser, really. You know, he's not a bruiser. He's a big guy, but he's not a bruiser as such. So I don't see any benefit in him at all, to tell you the truth, not for Toronto.
So you wanted to see some kind of Latter-day Saint of Carlos Boozer as a boozer.
Yes, somebody who could bang anybody and do. Carlos would be great now, right? He'd be a good.
I'm telling you.
Right now, the old time Carlos Boozer.
Hey, Michael, I don't know if you remember that time when Prince rented his house in LA and Prince painted the whole house purple.
For the Raptors. Piss them off, that's right.
So when Carlos came back and said, "What the fuck?" Prince had like decorated the whole place in all kind of purple colors and so on. They had a back and forth in the lawyers for a while there until they settled out of court.
Yeah.
So going on, Michael, the first game, what did the first game show you in terms of there was a cavalcade of stars from the bench. They came back after being embarrassed. I thought that the Raptors showed grit in terms of being embarrassed, where in the first quarter especially, the Hawks were toying with them. I thought embarrassingly. And they came back and showed grit and so on. And then they lost it, I believe, because of lack of coaching in the fourth.
Pull the reins in, slow the ball down.
Exactly, and change your rotations, you know what I mean? Substitution patterns, etc. So that was all in the bag and so on, because you know that them cats are excited and some of them deer in the headlight because
they don't get that kind of playing time, right?
Exactly.
So you know, Stanley Johnson put up for that tree and he hit it successfully quite a few times.
That dude was swagger. I'm talking. I think he must have made it some.
Like he was going in, you know. He was on. It's nice to be that.
So how confident are you, Michael, that given what we've seen from the bench and that assistant coach Scolani has seen, he's coached 2 games. He's 1-1 in his NBA's head coach career. Now night nurse Nick is back, regular coach. Nick Nurse is back. And at some point, we will hear from the medical and health and safety protocol whether Siakam, Ojinari, Fred VanVleet, Patrick McCaw, and Malachi Flynn will be back too. That's 5 of our players. 3 of them are our main starters, actually. So what do you expect then? We just started the second wave as it were. So the second half of the NBA season, 2 loss, 120.
Wave is a bad word. People start getting frightened when they say wave, you know?
Yes. Hey, party over here, party over here. Raptors lose 121-120 to the Atlanta Hawks on a 3-pointer, a bullet pass from Trae Young there, exceptional point guard to who did that snare?
Young guy. He was one of the rookies, I think. Somebody like that hit the shot.
Oh no, he's not no rookie. He's not
one of the young guys though. He hit the shot. He hit his shot with confidence.
Yeah, Snell. From Snell. 121-120.
For sure.
Yeah, Snell. A nice buzzer winner. Everybody embraced him and so on. Off of Covina protocol and so on. But the Hawks won, and the Raptors are right there, Michael. What do you think now going into the rest of the season, Michael? What do you expect and what do you think at the end?
A game like today really doesn't tell me anything about. It doesn't predict anything about what's going to happen in the future. I think once we get our guys back and we'll be flowing nicely, man. Once we get our guys back and everybody's playing their minutes, we're gonna be doing well.
Speaking of doing well, brother, how are you doing? Your website is back up and is up right now, and you've got your Solomon studio going. Please tell us about that and how people can get to your beautiful artwork.
It's free. Via the website, solomonartstudio.com. I took a lot of my art. It's a new thing for me, putting my art on fashion, and that is the exciting thing here, and having something that's more saleable other than just art. So my art is selling more on clothing than it's selling in the frame.
Hey,
it's a nice transition.
Wherever the money comes from, brother.
Yeah, that's it, bro.
As time goes by, you know what? There might be an old heads basketball jersey we can start marketing.
Oh, there's so much that's possible right now. Lots to do. I'm very excited. It's a great opportunity.
Where, Michael, within the trajectory of when the Raptors started 25, 26 years ago to now, when we won the championship, to now 2 years removed from that, it's like 2 years removed when they said Bruno was 2 years removed from being removed, whatever. How do you feel about the Raptors now? And do you get flashbacks? Like, for instance, this game tonight here, I had flashbacks where I went through different times where I said, oh man, what a disaster. This is so embarrassing too. Wow, we got them, we're winning them. And then, oh shit. Yes.
The nicest thing I saw tonight was Boucher's finger roll.
Which one?
Basket. When he got hit going to the basket,
yes.
Finger roll, and he hit the M1. That was a nice play. Like I said, the Raptors are ragtag right now. In order for us to win in this season, we have to be that defensive, crazy small ball. Small ball has to win for us right now. All that energy disrupting the other team's offense, that's how the Raptors are going to win. That's the only way we're going to win. And you don't know what's going to be happening in Brooklyn regardless. Durant isn't in yet, You don't know what the state of his Achilles is. There's so much uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty.
I got some ideas there, Michael, because for instance, they brought up, for instance, they signed Dante Hall, brought him up from the G League, from the Ignite team. He wasn't even the Raptors 905, a 6'9" explosive player. Had some time on 3 or 4 teams in the NBA, a couple of minutes here and there, but nothing significant. They signed him to a 10-year deal and then cut him. Then they bought, the Raptors lost. They got to the semifinals and they lost and didn't get to the finals. And Harry Ellison, what's he, 6'10", center-ish. I've watched some of the games, man, highlights from the games, and the dude has a nice 3-pointer. And they brought him in. He didn't get any play time, right? So what are we doing then in terms of, because it seems to me is that the Raptors are mining. So far, they've now this is the second guy they've bought up on a 10-day deal.
Yeah, I think he's going to get some play time soon.
So does that indicate that they're not really looking for no major trades really, but just maybe a significant tweak? And you're expecting finally a significant tweak from Masai?
I don't know if he represents a significant tweak.
Because he might not even get to play.
Yeah, he's basically just some insurance. He might fit into what else Masai is going to be doing, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that there is going to be some other significant tweak where you're dealing with NBA, team to team.
Because he's like a guy coming up through the ranks kind of thing. That's not
the solution. Of course.
That's distraction, That's like the give and go. You give the ball, cut, they're looking at the ball, get the ball back and score.
And at this point, Michael, are you still you've said it before at different times in our communication. Are you still of the mindset that the Raptors can actually make the Eastern Conference Finals?
With with who they have right now and us getting a good center, yes, we can get there. Playing the way we play defensively and having a good center that make a difference in the post, especially when it comes to half-court basketball, will be good.
Define a good center, and then I have a final question for you after that.
A seasoned center, someone who's been in the league for a long time.
What are their stats? What are you looking for them? How many points? How many rebounds? What are you looking for them?
You know what? No, not points. Being a defensive standard, somebody who's defensive minded, someone who can hurt people and who can keep people out of the lane. Simple like that. Someone who can actually dunk the basketball, Yeah.
And I know you're nonviolent. You come out of the Martin Luther King, and some might say I come out of the Malcolm X thing. They might say they might say you're a Martin Luther King guy, and they might say I'm a Malcolm X guy, because I'm saying we need a boozer. We need somebody to get like 6 fouls who say you come into this paint, you're gonna hurt for 2 days. You know what I mean? So you better think twice about that. And I got 6 fouls to give to you.
Well, you know what? A guy like JaVale would make things very difficult for people getting that shot up and over his hand. That's the kind of stuff we need.
The final question I was going to ask you, right, is that Nick Nurse had said tantalizingly to the press corps in his pregame press conference that he might do a hockey thing where he brings 5 starters and then the 5 things on. You know what? I'd like bringing 5 different people on at some point, because it forces you to develop a set second unit.
That can't work in basketball. You can't have people, just 5 guys come on, and all of a sudden these 5 guys are in sync and they're going to flow like, it doesn't happen like that. You need to have your stars. You need to bring people in slowly. You can't do that. If you're doing that, then you just maybe a defensive team and you get a whole bunch of guys coming and going like defense like crazy and just rotating in and out, in and out. That's the only how that can
But
happen.
Michael, I don't assume that you would just do it so pop, that you moving in, we bring 1 guy on, 2 guy going, and then you get a timeout, and you bring your 5 going on then, where it's a second unit.
Yeah,
you have a second unit.
It's hard to have a second unit that could come and flow like that, man. And to have the right situation in the game to have it happen.
But isn't that based on practice and how you do it? What was our bench mobs about? Wasn't it a version of that?
No, it's based on how you can fit in when you're on the court, how you can fit into the rotation, to the chemistry, how you fit in when you're out there. You have to be able to, to come in there and to blend, to meld, to become something different. By you being on the court, you become the sum of the parts are greater than the individuals. As a whole, you're much greater.
Okay, so here's a bench mob I'm proposing, right? And however you use them, you will, because I believe that what the coach has been moving towards is that 2 starters and 3 bench guys on the bench. So, for instance, at any time, any combination of Lowry, Van Vliet, Siakam, in most cases, and Norm, since he's now a starter, will be on there. 2 of them, right, with any of these 3. Here's what when we have all of a complement, here are the guys on the bench that we're coming off the bench that I think have been exemplary, not necessarily in any order, but starting off at number 1, Chris Boucher.
Yep.
Bembry, for his hustle, his points, his ability to get in there. He can do the thing with the pick and roll. He can do the threes. He can finish, so on. We got him. Baines, if Baines can give us that 15 and 13 or whatever he gave us tonight there, a double-double, give me a 10 and 10 guy. Work with him for that. You know what I mean? Davis, if Davis can be more consistent, because the dude be consistent for 3 games and then he go off the rails for 4. All kind of errant shots, and right?
But he's settling down more. He is definitely in, yes.
For his defense, let's bring in Stanley Johnson.
Yeah, yeah.
For his scatological defense, let's bring in Utah Watanabe too. So right away there, I'm not even talking about Matt Thomas and Paul Watson Jr. and so on.
You know, for now we have to wipe them out the way the coaches wipe them out. They're really not a consideration right now, right?
But they will be later on, though. One day, not all of them, but
it might be that way now. I mean, I think they might be moving those guys at some point. Who knows?
No, of course, yes.
Yeah, it's not.
All right. So finally, Michael, what do you think then of the Raptors in terms of where do you think then? It's a tough question for you, but at the end of the season, it's a truncated season of 72 games instead of the 82 regular, just 10 games less, but that's very significant for players. Where do you think the Raptors will end up right now? Because, of course, the juggernauts in the East, it's assumed to be the feast for the Brooklyn Nets, and then secondarily, maybe Philadelphia, Boston, Milwaukee, Boston, whatever. But
you know what?
I
think the Raptors will end up like 5-6. You know, which is a dangerous place for the rest of the people, for a team like them.
Absolutely, nobody wants to face us for the first.
A tenacious team like that, yeah, we have an advantage that way. And that's all I see we have. That's our advantage. Our tenacity is our advantage.
One more last time, brother. Please give us the details to your gallery so people can get they can get y'all can get a 1% discount from anything you buy. Just put in the code Old Heads Talking Basketball and you get a 1% discount.
I would love to be able to do that. I'll see if I can get that into the algorithm. That would be fantastic. But just come on down to
give the details, baby.
www.solomonartstudio.com. There's artwork and there's fashion to be bought. Yes.
That's Michael Solomon, a legend in my mind from Canadian basketball. I'm Clifton Joseph, does for the large Clifton Joseph. This has been the Eglinton West Pop-Up Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Old Heads edition with my man, Michael Solomon. We can see you back. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and coming soon, donate. Ow, ow, ow. Bye, bye, bye.